Oops. All right. All right, good morning. This is Virtual PBX-admin training. I'm a little early here because I'm testing out or making use of new software and just making sure everything is working properly here. So we'll get started here in just another minute or so. Just making sure everything is working properly here. So we'll get started here in just another minute or so. Oh, nice. Okay. All right, it's 10 o'clock, so let's go ahead and get started. So on the screen here, you see our dash login page, which is at dash.virtualpbx.com. You can also navigate there from the virtualpbx.com website. Just mouse over support and click on the dash login link. Now to log in, we need your username, your password, and your account name. Your username is your email address. So if you just signed up, it would be that email address you used to sign up with us. Password should be emailed to you. And the account name, typically your company name. Now, if for some reason you don't have that information handy, or like you forgot your password, down here towards the bottom right, just above the sign-in bar, it says forgot your info. If you click on that, it will flip the screen around, and you still need to enter your email address. And then we need either the account name or a phone number on the account, right? One of the two. We don't need both. And then you click on Reset Password. That will send you an email with a link to reset your password. Once you reset your password that way, the system will log you out. Basically, it gets you back to this screen. So then you can, make sure you remember your password, but also you have the option here to click on the Remember Me box down here at the bottom left. Let's go ahead and get logged in here. Make sure you remember your password, but also you have the option here to click on the Remember Me box down here at the bottom left. And let's get signed in. Let's get signed in. All right, so your first time logging into Dash, you'll actually have the Dash wizard pop up, and it will take you up to your account settings, which if you can always get to by clicking, clicking on your name at the top of the screen. So here is where you would change your own email address or your own password. Right, for everyone else, you would be doing that in the dashboard. You can also change your time and date settings, etc. Over here on the left, you have your account settings. In the dashboard. You can also change your, and the main thing that people change here is the time zone for the account. If you ever do change your account name, which you can do, you're also going to want to notify our billing team, as there's some other things they'll probably need to change on their side. Over here on the left, where below it says user, you would also have a section for your accounts. It would say billing information. So you would have information like your credit, updating your credit card. You can see your service plan. You can see previous invoices, that sort of thing. Then when you're done here, you just click close over here at the top right. And then you're back here on the dashboard. So along the top here, you've got your name, right, and the company name. So you can always click on that to get back to those account settings. Here we've got the Dnd toggle, right? So do not disturb. If you click on it, it'll be turned mostly white. And get all the white, okay, a little white dot. That lets you know you have do not disturb active. Right, and then you would just click on it again to turn it back off. Now, if you have staff members who are in ACD queues, this toggle will disappear, just because do not disturb and ACD queues don't work well together. And we'll get into ACD queues a bit later. Then we have the little question mark icon, right, for help. Oops, here we go. Chat with us. This will open up a chat window so you can speak to our support team members so they can walk you through a particular feature you're working with. Learn more. This opens up a new tab, takes you to our support pages. So you can see the guides that we've already written up with screenshots typically. Some of those guides also includes videos about those specific features. The online store, that takes you to store.virtualpbx.com. So you can order things like a VoIP phone or a router. This blank spot can also be filled with a web phone link. That's if you add a web phone to your user. Then this would open up a new tab to webphone.virtualpbx.net. Over here, you got the 3 horizontal line icon, or menu icon. This takes you to other features in Dash, which we'll be getting to more of these as we go through. And then you have the logout icon. This takes you to other features in Dash. Right here in the middle, we've got your total users. So on this account, I have 5 users. If you're on a per user plan, adding more users will increase your bill. Right here in the middle, we've got your total users. Obviously, removing users would then decrease your bill. Obviously, if you're on a unlimited user plan, then you don't have to worry about that. Obviously, removing users would then decrease your bill. Then we got total devices. So this account currently has 2, just a web phone and a SIP phone. Now, SIP stands for, is a physical VoIP phone, right? So it's a phone that sits on your desk. Web phone, someone's making use of that web phone I mentioned earlier, basically using Chrome and Firefox to make and receive calls from a desktop or laptop computer. You can have cell phones, you can have landlines, you can have soft phones, and we'll be getting into all of that as we go through this. Unregistered devices, currently 0, right? So the system will know if a VoIP device is registered with us, meaning connected or not. And unregistered, that can simply mean that someone hasn't plugged in their phone, right? Or they haven't signed into their soft phone application yet. It could be more complicated, right? It could be they moved, or they switched ISPs and now they have a completely new network and they have to do network settings to get their phones to register with us. Total numbers, these are your phone numbers on the account. These are customer-facing phone numbers. Your account will include anywhere from like 2 to 15 phone numbers, depending on your plan. And then we have a breakdown here. First one here is assigned numbers or spare numbers. An assigned number means you're using it. It goes someplace, right? So someone can dial that number and get to a staff member, or a voicemail, or a conference room, a fax. All right. Spare number, just a number on your account. You're not currently using it. That could be because you just had a promotion end and you took that number out of service, so you don't have to take calls on a number for a promotion that's no longer active, right? Or you could have got a bunch of numbers in sequence. You just haven't gotten to the last ones of those yet. Down below that, we have USDID. That means all these numbers that on my account are US local phone numbers, right? So they could be a number in, say, San Jose, California, or Chicago, Illinois, or in Miami, Florida, where have you. You can also have a breakdown for US toll-free, US Canada toll-free, right? So 800 number, 888, all the way down to 833. You can have international phone numbers on your account. If you're interested in adding those, you're going to need to email our porting team, which is porting at virtualpbx.com. They will need to know the city and country that you're interested in getting a number in, and they'll tell you what's available, or if that's available, and if there are further requirements. Some countries require documentation of some sort, like a utility bill or like proof of incorporation, and like in the case of like a utility bill, it needs to be in the same city that you're requesting the phone number in. Other countries don't care, and then they say, yeah, here, have a number. Conference bridges, currently there's no conference bridges enabled on this account, but we'll change that shortly. Over here to the right, we've got our main number. You can have multiple main numbers. These numbers would behave in the same fashion, meaning they all go to the same location. They would all play the same main greeting. You can have multiple main numbers. Conference number, this is a phone number for everyone to dial into and join a conference. Once you have a conference number, you can enable the conference bridge feature on a user. So again, we'll be getting to that shortly. Fax box number, this is your inbound fax box number. So this is what people dial to send you a fax. And you can currently only have one main fax box number. Conference room numbers, you can have multiple, just like main numbers. The company directory, this is a download text file to your computer, so you can see everyone's name and their extension number. Then we have the soft phone directory just below that. This downloads a file for use with the virtual PBX desktop soft phone application. So download this file, you then would upload it to your soft phone application on your computer, and then you'll be able to see the present status of your coworkers, right? So like right now, I could bring up my soft phone and I could see, oh, Charlie is not on a call, so I can give him a call real quick and we can discuss, a customer-facing issue. Likewise, I could, in my soft phone, I could set myself away, and that would let my staff members and colleagues know not to call me because I am currently busy. In my soft phone, I could set myself away, and that would let my staff members and colleagues. Then we got the store discount code. Just for being a Dash customer, you get a discount in our online store, right? That's store.virtualpbx.com. And then lastly, at the very bottom here, we've got your account realm. The account realm is used in a couple things. One is used in programming a third-party application or device, meaning a third-party soft phone or a VoIP phone that is not in the SIP phone list. Then there's three key pieces of information you need to program that application, those applications or devices, and the realm being one of them. The other thing the realm is used for is for outbound faxing. So currently on Dash, to send a fax out, you need to create an email. Just like if you're gonna email your cousin Bobby, right? You said create new email. In the to field of that email, you put the plus sign, the number 1, then the area code and phone number that you're going to fax to, the @ symbol, and then your account realm. Then you attach a PDF or a TIFF file and you click send. Then the area code and phone number that you're going to fax to. All right, up here at the top, you got the caller ID. This is your main company caller ID. Oh, what happened there? Okay. This pull down, you can choose from any of your main numbers. Right, this account only has one, so that's not a huge deal. And then we've got the company caller ID name. So this allows you to input up to 15 characters, including spaces and special characters. And then we've got the company caller ID name. If we change this. So this allows you to input up to 15 characters, including spaces and special characters. Right. This would now then become my outbound caller ID that shows up on other phones' displays. Now this information is basically what would happen when you make outbound calls with a VoIP device. Other phones' displays. Now this. One thing about company caller ID name, it's referred to as CNAME within the telecom industry. Once you click Save Changes, that information gets transmitted to the other carriers who support CNAME. They update their servers. That can take up to 3 business days. Not every carrier your call can route through support CNAME. Right, that's usually smaller or fairly regional carriers. Right, all the big names that you've heard of, they support CNAME. But this is all we can control, right? We can say, here's the information, we send it out into the world. The receiving device, right? That device and its carrier that it's on, they determine really what shows up on their phone. So that's something to be aware of. Then we've got the company emergency or E911 information. You want to put a valid street address here that's associated with this phone number. Each of your phone numbers can have a different address associated with them. And that means every one of your VoIP phones, you can then mix and match what address is associated with those VoIP devices. So when people call 911, the proper address shows up to emergency services. So any changes you make here, you click on Save Changes. The E911 information should be right away. The CNAM information, again, takes up to 3 business days. All right, hold music up here at the top. Hold music on Dash is defined as after a call has reached a user and the user has then pressed hold on their VoIP phone. That is when hold music will play. Dash does allow you to upload your own file. Right, and then you would click on the little browse button here to find the file on your computer. It will accept .ogg, .wav, and .mp3 files. You want to make sure they're recorded in mono, not in stereo, and that they're under 1 megabyte in file size. Then you would click on the blue and white up arrow icon. It would upload the file, and then you would click Save Changes. This hold music by default will be available to all of your staff members when they press hold on their VoIP phones. All right, ours is part of main number. So let's go ahead and just go to main number and we'll just work our way down. At the top here, we got main company numbers. If you don't want to use a phone number any longer as your main number, you would just click Unassign and that would move it into a spare number. You can click Add from spare numbers if you want to add an additional number as a main number, or you can buy new numbers. We'll start with toll-free. So by toll-free, you choose the toll-free prefix you want to use. So let's go with 877 here, and then you click Search. The system will tell you the available numbers. You look for one that you like. Click Add. Notice the cart increased by 1. It still shows you the number. You can hit the little trash can icon here to the right of it. That will remove the number. You can add multiple numbers if you're so inclined. But let's go ahead and add the one here. Also because we're going to add another local number here shortly. And now I have 2 main numbers. Again, these numbers are going to behave the same way. Now, for local, it's a little different in that you have to know the area code that you're interested in. Right, so let's say I want to go somewhere in Los Angeles. All right, so I did a search for 310. There's nothing available. Those 310 was, I believe it was the original area code for Los Angeles. That was created in 1947. It's been exhausted for a while. So I would then need to look for a different LA area code. I do a search, and oh, now there's plenty here. Again, I would add the number, buy numbers, and add it. So for any of your big metropolitan areas in North America, you would want to search all the area codes for them, right? Just because the original area codes are probably have long been exhausted. That's why some of them have been split. In most cases now, they're having what's called an overlay, right? So you have multiple area codes covering the same location. New York would be a prime example of that, or LA even. Now, next to any of these phone numbers, you have this little gear icon here. And you see I've got the options to update caller ID. So I can have outbound CNAM be different for each of the phone numbers. And I can turn on the ability to accept inbound CNAM information. Then I've got E911, so I can again have a different address for each phone number. Prepend is a VoIP feature. It just allows you to put text in front of the caller ID that shows up on your staff members' VoIP phones, right? It gives them a heads up about what is going on or like what the call might be about. So like if I go down to this one down here, I can say LA promo. Save changes. So now whenever a call comes in on this 323 phone number, my staff members will see on their VoIP phones LA promo and then the inbound caller ID phone number. So now they say, oh, this is about the LA promotion, most likely, and handle the call from there. Now, if I don't want a user number, again, I can just click unassign and handle the call from there. And now it's still on, the phone number is still on my account. It's just not currently in use as a main number any longer. Right, office hours strategy. For new accounts, when you first start up, you're on 24 hours open office, meaning your system is ready to take calls, right? Some people like that. Some people go to custom office hours, which then for each day of the week that you're open, you put a little check mark here, and then you select your open hours in 24-hour or military time. At the very bottom, there's also the option to say if you're closed for lunch, right? So if everyone in your office goes to lunch at the same time, you can put a check mark there and then enter your lunch hours. And then you would click on Save Changes, which unfortunately got cut off on my screen here. Then we have office holidays. If you're closed for holidays, you put a check mark here. And then over here to the right, you've got your options of adding holidays. So first up is a single day, creates a new row. Let's say we're closed for Halloween. That's coming up. Wow, it does not like that pull down. All right, so apparently my streaming software doesn't like pull downs, but you would select your month and your date here. Date range. All right, so Christmas is. But you would select your month and your date here. Right, and then you would select a start date and an end date. And then advanced. And then you would select a start date and an end date. You have. This middle pull down is first through fifth and last, right? And then you pick the day of the week. So like first Monday in January, in this case, will be closed. Obviously, if you don't like a holiday, you can just click on the trash can next to it to remove it. Otherwise, you would click on Save Changes. And you do, whenever you make a change, you want to see that little green box in the right, top right there show up. And then we've got incoming call handling. Now, this is for those main numbers, right? This is how they're going to behave. Notice here I have tabs for open hours, after hours, and holidays. Right, and they have the same basic options. So option 1 here, call comes in, goes to the virtual receptionist. This is a link. It'll pop up a new window. On the left, we've got your main menu. And you click Add Route. You would use the pull downs, which I'm not going to because it causes weird things to happen. But you've got 0 through 9, plus the star key and the default action to choose from on this first pull down. And then on this second pull down, interesting. Okay. But on this first, and then this other pull down, you select where you want it to go, right? So you can send it to the Smart Directory, right, or dial by name directory. You can choose a specific user. You can have it go to a specific device. You can have it go to a media file. That means it's just going to play a .wav file or .mp3 file, right? And then the call ends. You can send it to a group, which is a department, or you can send it to a voicemail box. Any option that you want to get rid of, you just click on the X to the right of it. All right, greetings. First up, these are your greeting options. You can choose any of these. Text to speech. Yeah, basically you type in what you want the system to say, click update, save, and then save changes, and it'll be that a computerized or robotic voice saying a greeting. A couple things to keep in mind. The text-to-speech greeting is limited to about 250 characters, not words, characters. So it's going to be fairly short. And every time you click save, it's going to save the text-to-speech greeting with the same file name, right? It's going to be, in this case, it'd be main open hours menu TTS, right? If I come back tomorrow under my open hours and make a new text-to-speech greeting, it's going to give it the same file name. So I recommend anytime you make a text-to-speech greeting, after you click save and save changes, you go to your greetings tab, which we'll be getting to shortly, change the name of it to something you'll recognize in case you need to go back to it later. After you click save and save changes, you go to your greetings tab, which will upload your own file. Again, you can choose to upload your own file, .wav, .mp3, .ogg, recorded in mono under 1 megabyte, and then you would click update, then save, and then save changes. Choose from an existing recording. Basically any media file that you've already added to the account, whether you uploaded it, recorded it over the phone, or text-to-speech. This could be a very long list depending on how many media files you have. And again, you notice here I have that main open hours menu. This is why you'd want to change it every time you create a new one, just so you know which one you're looking at. And again, you notice here I have that main open hours recorded over the phone. So first up, it says pick a phone registered to the account. This means a VoIP phone by default. If you want to use a cell phone or landline, if you go down under settings, this one down here that's currently on, the allowed, the one above that. Here, I'll flip it to on. Allow outside recording. When you turn this setting on for allow outside recording, that means you're saying you're allowing the system to accept calls from a cell phone or landline to then record a greeting, record your main greeting. Now, when you do that, you still need this PIN number, right? So enter this PIN number as a third extension or third instruction. So you call your main number, enter this PIN number, and then the system will help you record a greeting over the phone. If you just started with us, the system will actually walk you through it. When you first call in, it'll tell you no greeting has been recorded for this menu, and will ask you for the PIN number. Right? You enter the PIN number, and then walks you through creating a greeting. If you already have a greeting in place, right? You have greeting A is playing, right? You call in. When you hear that greeting play, you can still enter in your PIN number, right? And then the system will stop the greeting and then walk you through recording a new greeting. Just bear in mind that you're going to overwrite greeting A, right? So greeting file, the file name greeting A, that's going to stay the same, but you're about to change the content of that existing file. This PIN number, which is right here, that is specific to this time of day, right? So it's only good for my open hours, right? Because that's the menu we're on. So if I called in after hours, so after 5 p.m., I wouldn't be able to, this PIN number will come back as invalid. All right, next up, we've got professional recording services. When you click order, this will take you to a new website hosted by Snap Recordings, who we've partnered with. They have their own pricing and they do their own billing via credit card typically. And I believe it's $50 per 75 words is the base offer they have. They have like 100 voice actors and actresses to choose from, different versions of English, Spanish, and French, so you can do multilingual greetings as well. They also have hold treatment, right? A mix of a music file and a script being read. They typically deliver via email, and then you would upload your own file. Right, and go from there. All right, settings. So first up, we've got the number of retries on missed dial. Typically, 1 to 2 is fine for most customers. But this is how many times the inbound caller can make a mistake, right? So right now I have it set at 2, meaning the caller can come in, they'll hear my greeting, and they can press 3 because they got distracted by background noise. That's an invalid entry. The system will tell them invalid entry, play the greeting again, right? So that is their first, now they're on their first retry. That's an invalid entry. The system will tell them, let's say they hit 3 again, right? They, for whatever reasons, invalid entry, greeting plays again. Now they're on their second and last retry. They hit 3 again. They hit 3 for a third time because they figure 3 is a charm. At that point, because I have this default action here, the system will send them to the Smart PBX directory. If I don't have that on that third attempt, the system will tell them, we did not recognize your entries, goodbye, and end the call. Now, the reason you would not want a default action is because of robodialers, right? Because robodialers would call into your main number, sit in here, right, using up minutes, and then eventually get to your default action, whatever that is, like leaving a voicemail that, like a music file playing, or the extended auto warranty, I think, is the current one. But some people want to have that default action so that way their customers get to someone eventually. I typically recommend against the default action because you're making your inbound caller press an option or enter an extension number. So that way you know, oh, it's an actual person who is trying to reach you versus a robodialer. All right, dialing timeout. This is how much time the system listens for a button press after it hears a button press, right? So customer calls in, hits 3, the system waits to a count of 10. And says, oh, you meant 3. And either sends them to the menu option 3 or plays an invalid entry message. Right. For most people, or most customers, I recommend somewhere in the 3 to 5 range is typically plenty of time. Right. Allow outside recording. Again, if you turn this on, you can then record your main greeting with a cell phone or a landline. Allow dialing extensions. If this is on, that means an inbound caller can enter an extension number if they know it. Right? If it's off, they're restricted to only your menu options. And then lastly, we have the suppress playing of the invalid entry message. If you turn that on, that means if someone enters a wrong menu option, the system doesn't say anything. It will just play the main greeting again and let the customer try again. If you turn that on, that means if someone enters the wrong any changes you make to your main menu, your greetings, or your settings, you click on Save. You're taking back to incoming call handling, and then you need to click Save Changes here. You need to click Save twice, essentially. All right, second option, call comes in, it's being offered to David. If he doesn't pick up, it goes to the virtual receptionist. Right, this is what we refer to as your live operator answer option. So you can choose any of your specific users. You can send it to a device, a media file. I don't recommend a media file just because that can be confusing to your inbound caller, because they'll basically get 2 greetings back to back. Or you can send it to a ring group, right? This would be a group of people or department, right? So for second and third option here, when it says it's offering it to a person or a group, it's only offering it to them for 20 seconds. That's hard coded into the system. After that 20 seconds, it's going to go to the virtual receptionist, and it's the one we were just looking at because we're still under open hours. Now, if I go to lunch hours, and let's say we choose this second option, all right, we have a slightly different option here where it's going to the Smart PBX directory instead of to John. And then holidays, again, same option. This last option here, same options as before, right? Send it to a user, device, media file, groups. You got one extra one here, which is skip to voicemail. And then you choose the voicemail box you want it to go to. And then you would click on Save Changes. Skip to voicemail. And then you choose the voicemail box you want it to go to. All right, your main conference number. You can add from spare or buy new. You can also click on custom greeting here. If you enable this, you have a text-to-speech box here where you can type in a custom greeting, and then you would click save. Now, even without this, so let's disable and click close. Right? If I call this conference number, the system will still say, "Welcome to the conference. Please enter the conference room number." All right, your main fax box number, you can have the one. That's why I can't add additional ones. I can unassign it if I don't like this fax box number, if I wanted to, and then I could assign a new one. If you click Edit Fax Box, opens up a new window. And inbound notifications, this is where you enter an email address, and this email address would then get any inbound fax notification. If you wanted to add people here, you would just put a comma and then start the next email address, no spaces. One thing to keep in mind is that Taylor here, he's also going to get email notifications if someone calls my fax box number. Right, here's fax tones. He goes, "Oh, whoops, wrong number," and hangs up. That's still most likely going to generate an email to Taylor, letting him know that there was a failed inbound fax attempt. Right, here's fax tones. Goes, "Oh, whoops, wrong number," and hangs up. The outbound permissions, this is where you can put another email address saying, "Hey, this person is allowed to send faxes out." But if you own your own company domain, right, so at abccleaners.com, and all your staff members have email addresses with that domain, you can simply just put your domain here, right? So at abccleaners.com, click Save Changes. Now, every one of your staff members can fax out via Dash, but they don't have to be a user on your Dash account, right? So intern Dylan, you gave him an email address, he can start faxing out from his email. But they don't have to be a user on your Dash account, right? So intern Dylan. All right, auto attendance. He can start faxing out from his email. This is available on some plans, not every plan, right? Plan-specific feature. And allows you to create additional or secondary auto attendance. There's a couple use cases for this. The first is if you have several small businesses, right, that are independent of each other in terms of you have a dog walking business and say a cleaning business, right? So they would have their own main phone numbers, they'd have their own main greetings, but you could have their same staff members answer calls for both companies. That would be one use case. The other would be if you want to make use of what is referred to as submenuing. Basically, call comes into your auto attendant and you say press 1 for English and 2 for Spanish. Then you would then create attendance for English and Spanish. So let's go with create attendant. And you say press 1 for English and 2 for Spanish. So you have to give it a name, and then you need to give it an extension number. So let's go with create attendant. So you have to give it a name, and then you click create attendant. Now the extension number, most likely your inbound callers are never going to know it, but your staff members might need it because they could actually transfer calls to this attendant directly if they needed to. Now, once you've created an attendant, if you click on the name, you have the option here. It starts off as unavailable in main menu, meaning the system is defaulting you to saying this is a standalone attendant, meaning separate business. In this case, I'm going to click on this and change it to be available in main menu. So now this is a submenu option. And then I would click on Save Changes. In this case, I'm going to click on this and change it to be available. And then, for instance, let us. So now this is a submenu option. And then I would click on Save Changes. In this case, I'm going to click on this and change it to be available. And then, for instance, let us. So now this is a submenu option. And then I would click on Save Changes. All right, so Pooch Walk, I'm going to click on the name. I'm going to leave that alone, right, because I want that to be its own business. I can click on the phone number field here. So Pooch Walk, all right, I can add from spare or by new. Click on the name. I'm going to leave that alone, right, because I want that to be its own business. I can click on the phone number field here. Actually, here, we'll just by a local number. We'll say you're in 775. Actually, here, we'll just buy a local number. We'll say you're in 775. It's weird that it didn't show up right away. And then in either case, when you click on the little wrench icon here under settings, once it loads, you see you've got open hours, after hours, and holidays, right? These times, or in the case of holidays, dates, they're going to match what we already set up under main number. But then each of these have their own virtual receptionist, right? So then you would set up the routes, the greetings, and the settings for each of these. But then each of these have their own virtual receptionist, right? So I'm going to flip the numbers real quick. I want to see what happened with that. And the settings for each of these. But then each of these have their own virtual receptionist, right? So I'm going to flip the numbers real quick. I want to see. That number did not get added for some reason. Let's try that one more time. Let's try that one more time. There's something strange going on there. I'm going to have to check into on that later. All right, let's move on to devices. Devices show your devices on the account. In green, icon here means it is registered, meaning we can send calls to it, we can get calls back out from it. If it's red, that means it's unregistered. So that means we can't send calls to it or get calls from it. If you have a black device, that means you turned it off. Right, so if I do that, and my web phone here turns off, if you have a black device, and I can turn it back on. Up here at the top, you can add devices. So up here we have SIP phone. Again, this is that physical VoIP device, right? You choose your manufacturer. Some manufacturers like Yealink have many models. Others like HTech here don't have that many. You choose your manufacturer. But then you would choose your model, you give it a name, right? Bob's phone. And then you get the MAC address. The MAC address is unique to each field, or each phone, excuse me. Often a sticker on the back of the phone, or if you go under its basic settings, so if phone's plugged in, you click like in the menu, status or basic settings. Typically the MAC is listed there, and then you would just enter that information here. You would click on create device, right? It would show up here as a red device. You could then, when you go to a user, and assign it to a user. Now, within the dashboard here, you're done. However, you're not done with the phone. You need to access the phone's web user interface, web UI, and then you need to enter in a URL. Basically, tell the phone, go to this website, get your config file. For the specifics of that, you want to go to our support pages, and go down about a third of the way down. On the right-hand side, you're looking for the document called Auto Provisioning Phones. It's going to have screenshots for each of those manufacturers, as well as the proper syntax for the URL. And in most cases, a couple settings that they want to have verified that are set properly. Once you do that, the phone goes to the URL, it gets its config file. It's going to reboot a couple times, typically, and then it should show up as a green device. Cell phone and landline are pretty straightforward. You give it a name, and then in the phone number field here, you have to put the plus sign and the number 1. And then you enter area code and phone number, and then you click on create device. Now, cell phones and landlines will always show up as green, right? Because as far as we're concerned, we can send a call to them whenever. But we can't actually ping it all the time because it's not technically always on. Now, when Dash sends a call out to a cell phone or landline, basically that phone will ring, you'll pick up. You'll hear, this is a forwarded call. Please press 1. When you press 1, you're telling the system, yes, you're there, and yes, you want to take this call. And then connects the call to you. That's great if it's going to an actual person, right, or person's cell phone. If, however, you're using this to send calls to, say, an automated answering service, say for your after-hours use, then that automated answering service can't press 1, right? Because it's typically just a computer or another phone system that doesn't know to send a tone back. So then you would want to go into this device, right? Click on the little wrench icon here. Click on Advanced and select Options. And this top one here where it says Allow Use of Cell Phone's Voicemail, you want to put a check mark there. Right, and then Save Changes. So now, when we send a call to this cell phone, right, and we hear that pickup tone, we connect the call. We're not waiting for that one tone back from you, right? So you no longer hear, please press 1 to accept the call. Now, downside, if this is actually your cell phone and you have that checked, if your cell phone voicemail picks up, that inbound caller ends up on your cell phone's voicemail. Some people want that, right? Some people absolutely do not. They want to use a system voicemail. The other thing that comes up is the second one here, the keep original caller ID. So customer Mary is calling you, goes to your cell phone, and by default, right, you see customer Mary's phone number show up on your cell phone's display. You're like, I don't know that number. I'm tired of all these robodialers. I'm just going to let it go to voicemail. Right? And then maybe you're not able to reconnect with Mary later to complete the sale. If you uncheck this, then when customer Mary calls you, instead of seeing customer Mary's phone number on your cell phone, you see your main company phone number. If you uncheck this, then when you go back to the dashboard here, instead of seeing customer Mary's phone number on the main company number, that's this one here under your main caller ID. Whatever number you select here is what would show up if you uncheck the keep original caller ID. The main company number, that's this one here under your main caller ID. Whatever number you soft phone would show up. One, please read the warning message here, basically saying, hey, wireless VoIP technology, you might not be at the location associated with you, so you might not want to dial 911 from your soft phone. And you see here, the system will default you to a third-party soft phone, meaning you're not using a virtual PBX soft phone application, or you didn't see your manufacturer or your specific model under that SIP phone list, and you're like, well, let me try to program it. Right, so you give it a name. You want to copy the SIP username. Do not change it. Click on the box for the SIP password. This will reveal the SIP password to you, so you can copy it and then paste it to another document. And then you'd want to copy and paste the realm. Those are the 3 key pieces of information you would need to program that third-party application or device. Right? Then you click on Create Device, and then you can assign it to a user. You would need to program that third-party application or device. The other device you could add typically is the web phone. However, I recommend doing the web phone directly on a user because the web phone uses your user's dash login. The other device you could add typically is easier all around to do it there. I recommend doing the web phone directly on a user. All right, greetings. This is your greetings manager. It will show all your greetings on the account. Just easier all around to do it there. Again, you have the main menu, main after hours menu, right? Main open hours menu. You can add files up here. Again, you have the main menu. Just find the file on your computer, right? Main open hours menu. You can add files up here. Again, you have the main menu. Just find the file on your computer, right? Main open hours menu. You can add files up here. Find the file on your computer. All right, give it a name. Click Create Greeting. And now I've uploaded a new file. You can download any of those files here to listen to it, so make sure it's still relevant. If you click on the little wrench icon, this is where you can change the name, as well as delete a file if it's no longer relevant. If you click on the little wrench icon, this is where you can change the name. Groups, shorthand for ring groups or hunt groups. All right, creating your group is you give it a name, shorthand for ring groups or hunt groups. And you will need to give it an extension number. Creating your group is you give it a name, and then you click and drag your staff members that you want to be in the group. click on Create Group. And then you click and drag your staff. Now you see it here. When you click on the name of a group, right, you can always change the name. And then you've got group call attempts. This is how many times the inbound caller will be offered to your staff members. Got little arrows here to the right, so you can increase that number of attempts. This is how many times the inbound caller will be offered. Say 2 is fine. Click on Save Changes. Now, when you click on the members box, along the top here, these are timestamps, right? Default here is 120 seconds. Let's say I just want to change that down to 60. And then I can distribute the calls, so it can go in this order, right? So ring Mike, then Test, then Taylor, then David. These are sliders, so I can also do things like this. So let's set up what's referred to as blast ringing or ring all, then telecom. These are sliders, so I can also. Right, so in this instance, calls come in, they ring everybody at the same time. A couple things to keep in mind about ring groups. When calls come to a user in a group, it's going to ring all of their phones, right? Now, there's a user setting called Follow Me, which an admin can set up so that it rings a particular user's phones in a particular order. Calls from a group will ignore that. And what else? Oh, groups you can take calls from a cell phone, landline, or VoIP device. So that's an advantage for some people. Other people may not like that. Again, you can adjust this box so you can change the duration. Now, let's say you want to change the order, right? Because you're on this distribute. You're like, no, I have Mike working on a special project. You can click on Mike's name here, and you can drag him to the bottom and say, David needs to get more calls. Now, the call order hasn't changed, right? Because Mike still has that 0 to 15. But now I just click distribute again, and now David's up top. And then I click on Save Changes. Because Mike still has that 0 to 15. But now I just click distribute again. And now David's up top. You click on the extension box. You can unassign an extension, add new extensions if you want to. Groups can have their own phone numbers. Right, you would add from spare or by new numbers. One thing to keep in mind about group phone numbers is that they work 24/7, right? They're not going to pay attention to your hours of operation. So that could be bad if you have like all your staff members use their personal cell phones and a call comes in at 2 a.m. They're all going to get wrong. So that could be bad if you have like all your staff members group features. You have ringback. If you enable this, this allows you to upload a media file. .wave, .mp3, .ogg, recorded in mono under 1 megabyte. One thing you keep in mind is that this ringback replaces the ringing sound, right? So when you call in and then the system sends calls out to your staff members, once the system hears the ringing sound coming back from, say, that first user, David's phone, right? Then it would play, plays the ring sound back to your inbound caller. If you have a ringback file play, the system waits for that ringing sound to come back to it, then it plays the media file. So if for some reason we don't get that ringing sound coming back from your staff members, nothing plays. Then it plays the media file. So if for some reason we don't get that ringing sound coming back from your staff, right, next action, right? Basically, what do you want the system to do if no one picks up? You would first click enable, and then you choose, you send them back to your main menu. You send it to my Spanish queue or attendant there. I can send it to a specific device. I can send it to the other ring group. I can send it to a specific user, or I can send it to a voicemail box. I can send it to a specific device. I can send it to the other ring group. I can send it to a specific user, or I can send it to a voicemail box. You could also send it to an ACD queue if we had it on the account. Allow call forward. If you enable this, that means your users can make use of call forwarding. So if they primarily use a VoIP phone, but they're like, oh, I occasionally go out on sales calls or, customer visit, right? You can have this enabled. They can then forward calls from their VoIP phone to their cell phone, so they can still take calls. Caller ID prepend. If you enable this, this allows you to add either text or numbers that show up on your VoIP phone's displays, right? So give your staff member a heads up about what the call is. That show up on your VoIP phones, right? So I do that. This lets my staff know, hey, this is a call regarding new business. All right, numbers shows your numbers on the account and where they're going. You got the little gear icons here, so you can adjust the caller ID E911 and prepend. Go to spare numbers. Now you can buy numbers here as well, right? And we just add them as a spare number. If you think you're over your monthly allotment of phone numbers, one, you can always verify that with our account services team and what the overage would be if you're over. But if you want to remove a number, you click on the box in front of it. Now you've got the option to delete here. It says, are you sure? You click confirm. And now the number is removed from your account. You also have the option here to port a number. Port is an industry term. It just means move a number from one carrier to another. Right. You need to give it a name. Choose local or toll-free. And then it's asking you to upload a PDF of your bill. Right. And then you acknowledge that it's really your bill. Then it asks you for like the address information, as well as the numbers that you're going to port. It will then give you an opportunity to download a blank letter of agency or LOA. You can then upload a completed and signed LOA. And then there's 4 check boxes you need to check, and then you click submit. All right. When you click submit, you're uploading those documents actually to the system. You'll get an email after it's done saying, yes, you've submitted. You should then get a second email from our porting team by the next business day, typically, saying, yes, we did get your port request, and here's what to expect in terms of the porting process. Now, a couple things to be aware of with porting. When I said completed and signed LOA, the LOA asks for like your company name and the address. That information should match what is on your current carrier's bill, typically, right? Whatever they have on file for you. It does need to be signed. Now, that could be you printed it out, signed it, and scanned it. That could be because you have a digital signature file you just put in the file on the LOA. Either way will work, right? Typing your name will always get rejected. Local numbers can port anywhere from 1 day to 2 to 3 weeks. It just depends on the other carrier, and that assumes everything's correct. Toll-free numbers, usually 3 to 5 business days. Right? There's more regulation involved with that. If there is a rejection, we get an email from the other carrier basically saying rejected for address mismatch or authorized user mismatch. If we're lucky, they'll tell us something more specific, like, oh, the street number is wrong, or the zip code is wrong, something like that. But most of the time they don't. We pass that information on to you saying, this is a rejection we got. You're going to need to verify that information with your current carrier. But most of the time they don't. We pass that information on to you saying, oh, if for some reason in the port process the upload doesn't take, you can just email the documents to porting@virtualpbx.com. Oh, if for some reason in the right users, the upload doesn't take, shows your users on the account. Little blue person icon, that is a system admin. Little gray person icon, that means that's a standard user. Up here at the top, you click add user, and you would fill out the form. So, up here at the top, you click add user, and you would fill out the form. So, and then you create a password. Oh, so the email address used for login needs to be unique for each user, right? So I can't reuse support@virtualpbx.com for 5 people. I'd have to create a new one for each one. So the email address used for login needs to be unique for each user, right? So I can't reuse create a password, support@virtualpbx.com. Give them an extension number. Now I can change this extension number to anything else I wanted to. By default, the system will create a new voicemail box for the user, and that's something we recommend. It's just intrinsically tied to that user. So like if I add a VoIP phone to Aaron here after I'm done creating him, he can pick up his VoIP phone, hit *98, right? That auto logs him into his voicemail box, and the first time he does that, the system will prompt him to create a PIN number for his voicemail box, and then prompt him to record his voicemail greeting. Right? So it saves you some steps. You can choose to have a user show up in the user directory. You can always change your mind on that. To send emails to an alternate address, and then you enter in an address. This would be to replace the email address used for login in terms of voicemail notification, right? So call comes in, someone leaves a voicemail for Aaron. By default, this email address here is what would get the voicemail notification. If for some reason Aaron doesn't want to get his voicemails there, you would click this box here under send emails to an alternate address and then enter in that alternate email address. And then probably the most important one to me, send credentials to the user. You create the user. And then probably the most important one to me, send credentials to the user. And now he's a user on the account. Now you can click on a person's name, right? You can change their name. If you click on change credentials, and now he's a user on the account. Now you can click on a person's name, right? You can change their email address or their password. You can also send them the password reset email directly by clicking the here link as well. You can change their PIN number for the voicemail box, but again, if he's a VoIP phone user, he can set that up himself as well. Here's the option to send to an alternate address, and then the option to be in the user directory or not. Here's the option to send to an alternate address. So this first pull down is to make a user an admin or an admin to a user. We've got the time zone for the user, and then the display language. Basically for the website for this user, it's English, French, German, and Russian, I believe the options are. And then the display language. Ringing timeout, this is how much time the system will offer a call to Aaron's devices. The default is 20 seconds, which is typically plenty of time for a VoIP device or a landline. If Aaron's only going to use a cell phone, I would want to increase this to at least 30 seconds, but probably 45 to 60, right? In terms of how phone systems work, it does take longer to route a call to a cell phone than, say, to a landline, right? Call comes into a PBX system. We go to sending a call to Aaron. If Aaron has a landline, we send the call. Landline telecom says, yes, we know exactly where it is. Here, go here. Versus call comes into Aaron, it's going to his cell phone. Cell phone provider says, hold up, we need to find him first. Ping cell phone towers until they find him. Then says, all right, we found him, send the call through. It's that delay is why you would need to have a longer ring time for people making use of a cell phone. If you click on the extension box for a user, you can add multiple extensions to a user if you want to. Easily, you can unassign and then assign a new one. Right. Users can have their own phone numbers if you want them to. Again, that phone number works 24/7. But same basic process, either add from spare or buy new numbers. User devices, there aren't currently any, so you can add from spare if you have extra devices on the account. You can also add new. Right, same options as before, but on the soft phone, so you can add from spare if you have extra devices on the account. You can also add new. Right, I have the option here. It's grayed out, but it starts off with saying use third-party application. If I click on that, it will flip it to say use virtual PBX application. I have the option here. It's grayed out, but it starts off with saying use third-party application. All right, I give it a name. I click on Create Device, and then I click on Save Changes. Once I do that, Aaron's going to get an email with his virtual PBX soft phone application credentials. Right, so the soft phone uses different login information than your Dash login. That email will also have download links, so he can then download the app to either his phone or his computer, so then he can log in and make use of the soft phone app. The other thing I want to show here is also the web phone. Pretty straightforward. The other thing I want to show here is also the web phone. All right, click on Create Device, click on Save Changes. Click on Create Device. So now he's got two devices. Save Changes. Then we can go to User Features. Caller ID number, this only shows up for users with their own phone number. Basically, it's saying their outbound caller ID will be their phone number versus the company default. Call forwarding off means you're not using it. On means you're automatically forwarding calls to whatever phone number you designate. Your users can enable this themselves. This is something they can do via the user portal. They can also do this from their VoIP phones using feature codes. And then failover mode is for your VoIP phone users. Basically, when we detect that the VoIP phone is unregistered and a call comes to your user, we'll automatically forward it to you. Right, select desk phone or mobile. Right, and then you would put that +1 area code and phone number, and then you would click on Save Changes. Hotdesking is a VoIP feature. This is for shared office environment or hybrid working schedule. As an admin, you would create a Hotdesk ID for each of your users. When they come into the office, right, they sit at, I would come in, sit at desk number 7, pick up the VoIP phone, I hit *11. That turns Hotdesking on for that phone. It asks me for the Hotdesk ID, I enter that. It then tells me calls will now be sent to this device. So now for the rest of my work days, calls from my user will show up, will be ringing at the device I'm sitting at. End of my day, pick up the phone, hit *12 to turn Hotdesking off, and go home. Next time I come into the office, we'll say that's on a Saturday because I have to work on a Saturday. Then I can sit at desk number 1 because there's hardly anyone in. Do the same thing, hit *11, enter my Hotdesk ID, and now calls will come to me at that desk. I can sit at desk number 1 because there's hardly anyone in. Do the same thing, hit voicemail box. Can use enabled because when I created the user. Transcription is a plan-specific feature, as far as I know, but basically the system listens to the voicemail and puts it in the email notification, or at least as best as it can determine what the person said. Voicemail to email by default is enabled, and it attaches the voicemail message to your email. So call comes into you, you're not able to get to it. They leave a voice message. You'll get an email saying, hey, you got a voicemail from this phone number on this date, on this time. And then there'll be attachment, right? MP3 file, you can just double click on it and listen to the voicemail message. Now, your voicemail boxes can hold up to 100 messages. If you don't want to rely on your staff members going back and deleting their own voicemail boxes, then, or voicemail messages, I should say, then you want to check mark here for delete the message after the notification email was sent. Right, that way the voicemail box will never get full. You want to check mark here for delete the message. And then any changes, you would click on Save Changes. Right, that way the voicemail box will never get full. Fax box, users can have their own individual fax boxes. You would click on Save Changes. Right, and then you have the option to select a phone number or an extension. If you assign them an extension to their fax box, they can only receive faxes. And in fact, they'll have problems trying to send a fax out. So if you're not sure if a person's ever going to be sending and receiving faxes, you're better off selecting a phone number. But then that email, whatever email you select will go directly, or whatever phone number you select would go directly to this person's fax box. If you select an extension number, so let's go through that here. Email you select will go directly, or whatever phone number you select would go directly to this person's fax box. So I'm saying fax is sent to extension 399 will go to this email address. That means I'm relying on that inbound the person faxing in, right? They have to dial my main number, hear the greeting, then hit 399, right, my fax extension, then hit send fax. So on, an analog fax machine, that's probably doable, right? Either there's a handset they can listen for it and then hit the 3999 and hit send fax, or they can be like a special key combination where they enter the phone number and then hit like star 399 to give that pause to note, to let the system know to send it to an extension. Your email to fax services or eFax services in general may not let you fax to an extension, which would be another reason to just use a phone number. Your email to fax services or eFax services in general. Conference bridge, if you enable it on a user, then the only thing you need to worry about is creating a PIN number for them. Save changes. And so now Aaron here can host a conference, right? Be a moderator for a conference. Follow me. This is for users with multiple devices. Be a moderator. You have to tell the system what devices you actually want to make use of. Follow me. Easiest thing to do is click distribute. Right, but these are sliders. You have to tell the system what devices you actually want to make. Likewise, just like in groups, I can flip the order around, or I can just say, hey, just bring them both for the entire time. Likewise, just like in groups, I can flip the order around, or I can just say, hey, just music on hold. Users can have their own hold music if you want them to. Right? You would just need to upload a .wav, .mp3, .ogg file recorded in mono. This will supersede the on-hold music we uploaded on the dashboard page. Customize call recording. So every account has the ability to record calls if you want them to. When you enable it, then you need to tell the system which kind of calls you're going to record. Right, inbound internal, right, coworker calls. Right, coworker Bob called me. Right, inbound external, customer Mary called me. Outbound internal means I called coworker Bob. Outbound external means I called customer Mary back. And then save changes. Every account includes some level of storage as part of your plan price. And then there's overages beyond that. You would want to check with our account services team to find out what those amounts are for you. You can also make, if you have an Amazon Web Services account, you can actually link that to your Dash account, so then you can have your call recordings stored over there and not worry about any kind of overage with us. And then do not disturb. If you enable that, that means calls to this user go to voicemail. Voicemail boxes, and then do not disturb, right? Shows all your voicemail boxes on the account. The main voicemail box is always created for every account. Even if you delete it, the system will try to recreate it. And then you see here, I have all user voicemail boxes. Up at the top, you can create your own voicemail boxes. Right? You would give it a name. So let's see, I created that front desk group. Up at the top, you can create your own voicemail boxes. I need to give it a voicemail box number. Give it a name. So let's see, I created that front desk group. And then a PIN number. I need to give it a, and now it's created. Now, if I click on the little wrench icon next to it, right, I can get these settings. So now, when you have the voicemail box number and the PIN number, right, you can call into your main number that rings to the virtual receptionist. You hit *97. Then you can enter in the voicemail box number and then the PIN number. You can record a greeting for this voicemail box if you want to. Or if you go to advanced, you can go to greeting media. You can upload your own file to the media section here. Right? .wav, .mp3, .ogg, recorded in mono under 1 megabyte. The temporary file, this is for that vacation out of office message, right? So if you have two files selected under media and then another under temporary, it's the temporary file that will play. Right, once you put the temporary back to none, then the media file will selected under media and then another under temporary. It's the temporary file that will play. Recipients. Right, so for your user voicemail boxes, right, they already have a recipient built in, right, the email address used for login. For this email or for this voicemail box, right, I don't have one created. So I need to add a voicemail or email address. So now that way, at least somebody is notified when this particular voicemail box gets a message. Once you've done the media file and you've got a recipient for a voicemail box done, then under advanced, you want to select options. And then you would click on already set up. Here's where you have the options to attach the message, right, to email. And you'd also probably want to do the delete after the notification. And then you would click on save changes. Right, to email. And you'd also probably want to do the delete after the notification. Advanced routing, this is a home of direct inward system access, or DISA. DISA allows you to create a way for your cell phone or landline users to call into your system and then make an outbound call from your system, right, to like one of your customers. And that way their cell phone number doesn't show up, but one of your main company number shows up as the outbound caller ID. So you would click enable, right, to like one of your customers. And that way their cell phone number doesn't show up, but one of your main company number shows up as the outbound caller ID. So you would click enable, and it automatically generates a PIN number for you. You can click edit settings, so you can change the PIN number to something else. I do typically recommend just adding an extension, and you click save changes. So now, from my cell phone, I can call into the system. I do typically recommend just adding an extension, to a phone number that goes to the virtual receptionist. So now, when I hear the greeting play, I enter in this extension number. The system will prompt me for the PIN number, and then I'll hear dial tone again. So I just enter area code and phone number of what I'm trying to reach, whoever I'm trying to reach, right? Make that outbound call. Whoever I'm calling won't see my cell phone number. They're going to see the main company number. Now, by default for new accounts, DISA is not enabled. If it's something you want, you need to send a request into our account services team, and then they can go about getting that enabled for you. The reason it's not enabled is because it's possible someone figure out your PIN number and potentially, and in this case, the extension number, they can start making outbound calls on your account and you won't notice it right away, right? Probably not to your next bill, which could be pretty surprising and in a bad way. Now, if we go to call logs, this would be the way that you might be able to see call activity happening relatively close to real time. Here, let's go to this month, see if there's more than this. So in this case, we have a bunch of outbound calls, right? The little arrow to the left, right? If you have a green arrow to the right, that's an inbound call. You can click on these to get a little bit more detail. So you can see here, Mike used his VoIP phone to make an outbound call to this 408 number, and it ended normally. On an inbound call, right, you would see what devices the call was offered to. You typically do want to see normal clearing because that just tells you the system said the call ended in a normal fashion. If you see something else, that means something strange happened. Whether that was a network issue for a VoIP phone or something else. The little fire hydrant icon here, this allows you to report the call, right? It creates an email for you. It then has the technical details of the call, and that email is automatically addressed to support@virtualpbx.com. You do want to write in the body of that email, right, what you experienced, right? Like, I had one-way audio, or my phone didn't actually ring, right? Something that lets our staff members know for sure what the heck was going on. They should call you back, or at least reach back out to you to get more details and or make more test calls. Custom, right? You can select your date range. You can download your call logs as a CSV file. Your call logs go back for 1 year, right? 12 months. I believe our engineers can go back an additional 6 months, so going back 18. But after that, we can't get those files. So if you need to your call log information long term, I would suggest making sure every month you come in, just download the files, and that way you have an easy, labeling system, right? What was it? August 2021 call logs, right? And then you're all set. Feature codes, I've alluded to a couple of these already, like Hotdesking, right? The *11 and *12. These are just ways for VoIP phone users to access different features of Dash. This is published on the support site, right? Support at or virtualpbx.com. Go to support. There's also another document there called Phone Commands Cheat Sheet. It's a PDF file. It has a short description of what each of these does. There's also another document there called Phone Commands Cheat Sheet. All right, so we've just been in the dashboard. Now we're going to go over here and, you have ACD Queues Pro. So ACD stands for Automatic Call Distribution. It's a call center feature. On Dash, we have two types of queues. You have standard ACD queues and ACD Queues Pro. These are add-on features to various plans. So not every plan has access to add-on queues. So you might have to upgrade your plan to be able to add queues, and even then, you're going to have the add-on fee for each queue. Right? It's each queue per month. So you might have to upgrade creating queue, add queues, and even then, you're going to have the add-on fee for each queue. So you would give it a name. Creating queue, and then you choose either a phone number, or by a number, or an extension. And then you choose either a phone number, or by a number, or an extension. Here, we'll just choose a new extension number. Then we click Next. And then now we have the general settings. A call limit is how many people can wait on hold. This is on top of your staff members who are already on a call. So 0 would be no limit. Queue timeout is measured in seconds, is how much time people can wait on hold. So 0 would be no limit. Timeout immediately if empty. This means if you have no staff members logged in and a call comes into the queue, this system will treat that inbound caller as if they hit this timeout. Now this is also on the standard queues. In terms of the pro queues, you have this option here, right? If you enable this, also on the standard queues, you can say pressing 0 will allow the inbound caller or the person waiting on hold to go someplace else, right? So you can say pressing 0 will allow the inbound caller or the person waiting on hold to go someplace. We'll send it to the main voicemail box. Down here, we have display agents to other agents. This is also a feature specific to the ACD Queues Pro. It's not on the standard queues. But basically, this allows your staff members to see the status of their coworkers, right? Oh, Bob's on break. I better not go on break myself. That's sort of on the standard queues. But basically, this allows your staff members to see the status. And then record all calls in this queue. Again, this is a feature specific to the Pro queues. Standard queues, we have to do additional work to get that call recordings to work. Again, this is a feature specific to the Pro queues. And then we have to do additional escalation handling. You can send calls to a second queue, right? I don't have a second queue, so that's not really an option. And then I have the escalation call flow after timeout, basically saying after that 3,600 seconds has elapsed, where do I want to send the caller? And in this case, I'll send them to the main voicemail box. Go ahead and hit next. And now I have my routing strategies. Most idle, who's been waiting for the call the longest, gets the next call. Least calls handled. Basically, whoever has the least amount of connected calls gets the next call that comes in. Least offers, right? This is a combination of connected and missed calls. Basically, whoever has the least amount of connected calls. Round robin, basically will equal out over time. This is a combination of connected and missed calls. You can set up skills for agents as well. It's fairly strict from what I recall. It's been a while since I've tested the skills, but basically say you assign an agent a skill, and if the inbound caller has selected that skill as what they needed to speak to, right, the call only gets offered to those agents with that skill. They won't be offered to any other agents. Has selected that skill as what they needed to speak to, right? The call only gets offered to those agents with that skill. They won't be offered to any other agents. Oh, and it's not letting me click next or move forward. That's sort of annoying. Oh, and it's not letting me click next or move forward. That's sort of annoying. Oh, all right. I'll have to get this set up. I'm sorry about that. Hold treatment on the ACD Qs Pro. You can have your own hold music file play. All right. I'll have to get this set up. I'm sorry about that. You can actually have multiple files play. Let me see if I can. You can have your own hold music file play. You can actually have multiple files play. Let me see if I can. Nope, still does not want to let it show. Nope, still does not want to let it show. Do apologize. I didn't realize it would cut it off that much. So hold treatment, you've got things like you can have multiple media files play. You can announce their position in line, announce their expected wait time. On standard queues, you can only have one media file play. Agent behavior, this is where things you set up the ring time to an agent, which is defaults to 20 seconds, as well as are they marked away if they miss a call, and the wrap-up time. So after they're done with the call, how much time does the system wait before it offers them a new call? Are they marked away if they miss a call? Member assignment means who you're assigning to a queue. So after they're done with the call, how much time which we can probably get to here. So we go to members. You then click on manage members. You can click to add someone as a queue member. You then click on manage members. And then, so now Aaron can be in any of the queues. He will no longer have the do not disturb toggle at the top of his page. One thing to keep in mind about queues is currently you can only receive calls from a queue on a VoIP device. So SIP phone, soft phone, or web phone. When you're actually signed into a queue, you select the device you want to get calls on, right? So that gives you some differentiation in terms of which phone is ringing. You're like, oh, that's a queue call versus a call coming into my user directly. Right, so that gives you some differentiation in terms of performance. You would click add row, and you could see how staff members are compared to each other in the queues. But since I don't have actual queues created here, I'm not able to actually show that to you. So for the Pro queues, we do have a ACD Queues Pro demo that I would recommend watching, especially since I can't show you much here. That's also on our YouTube channel. I don't remember if they have a standard queues demo or not, but I do know they have the Pro queue demos. That's also on our YouTube channel. All right, let's go over to Blacklists then. Blacklist allows you to create a rule or several rules to block numbers from reaching your system. Right, this is an included feature on all accounts. You would click Edit Blacklists here. You click Add to create a new rule, and then you give it a name. Blacklist. Now, first decision you have is, do you block anonymous or not? Right. By anonymous, that means we got invalid inbound caller ID. Whether that's because someone intentionally does not want their caller ID sent out, or for some reason we didn't get correct caller ID in. Right. So if you turn that on, in either one of those situations, the inbound caller gets a busy tone. Then down here on the list of numbers, you put the plus sign, the number 1, and then the area code phone number. Then down here on the list of numbers, you put that you want to block, right? And you can keep adding additional numbers. You would click Save. Then you go back to Settings, and then you need to click and drag your block list over here to the right under Selected. Then you click Update. Now you're done. Right, so now that phone number on this list, when they try to call in, they're going to get blocked. They're going to hear busy tone. Then you click Update. Now you're done. Right, so now that the Fax Manager, this shows your inbound and fax activity on the account. I don't know how much there is on this particular account. The Fax Manager looks like not a lot. And then you have the email to fax logs. If you have anything in the email to fax logs, over here on the far right, there'll be a little eyeball icon. If you click on that, that will give you more details. And what the email to fax logs is, this means the fax never left. Like the system was not able to do something with the file for whatever reasons. Either someone used their personal email address versus their work email address, or they didn't attach anything, or they had the wrong kind of attachment. Right? On the outbound fax log, if you see like a failure, that's usually because we had a communication problem, right? So we called the other fax number and it came back busy tone, or it didn't give us the right kind of tones back, or what have you. Right. The monitor, this is a plan-specific feature, but this allows you to see the status of everyone's user or their devices. The monitor, right? You can say, hey, who's available, who's busy. Over here, it's kind of hard to see. You can see your active incoming calls at the top. You can also see your parked calls. And if you have parked calls, then they would have their parking spot number here as well. You can see your active incoming calls at the top. You can also see the number manager. This basically takes you to your spare numbers, so you can buy report numbers. The number manager, this basically takes you to the recording manager. This will take you to recordings.virtualpbx.com, so you can see your recorded calls. The recording manager, this will take you to recordings.virtualpbx.com, so you can see voicemail manager. Recorded calls basically shows your voicemail boxes, so you can take a look at who has messages and who doesn't. If you're, as an admin, when you're looking at this field, if there's a voicemail, you can put a check mark here, and then you can move a voicemail from one user to another, right? So if it got to the wrong person. When you're looking at this field, if there's a voicemail, you can put a check mark here, and then you can webhooks. This allows you to create rules, or basically make programming to link Dash to other software. This is a plan-specific feature. You actually need to talk to our sales team because they're the ones who have the qualifying information for that. You can also see samples of what we have done on developer.virtualpbx.com, like linking Dash to, say, Slack, for example. You can also see samples of and then we've got the user portal. Right, the user portal is specific to each individual user. So as an admin, I can't get to someone else's user portal, but I can get to everything that they have. Right, so here I see my own voicemail boxes, or my own voicemails, excuse me. Right, I can see my call history, and I can change the date range. I can see my fax history. Right, I can see my call history, and I can change the date range. I can see the contact list. Now, the contact list is specific to your Dash account, right? So the other users, feature codes, groups, etc. It's not something a user can add to. So like a salesperson wouldn't be able to add their contact list. And then we have settings and devices. This is where your users would create their own call forwarding rules, right? Turn it on, and then put +1 area code and phone number, and then they would click save. This is where your users would create their own call forwarding rules, right? Turn it on, and then put +1 area code and phone number. A couple other features I should mention. There's advanced reporting. There is a demo on our YouTube channel about advanced reporting that allows you to create your own reports. Other features I should mention. Usually a little bit more, actually, it's usually quite a bit more detailed than the call logs. That is a plan-specific feature, so you would need to talk to our account services team. But I would say take a look at that demo and see if that's something you'd be interested in. That is a plan-specific feature, so you would need to talk to our account services team. And I'm trying to think if there's something else. And see if that's something you'd be interested in. That's the only major one I can think of right now. So we'll go to the dashboard. And that is everything. I do apologize for the problems with the queues there and the pull downs. As I mentioned earlier, working with some new software, so apparently there's some things I need to work out here on my own. But I thank you for your time today. I will be back next Tuesday at 10 a.m. Pacific. You can see previous versions of this training on our YouTube channel, and as I mentioned, there's that ACDQ's Pro demo and the advanced reporting demo that are also under the video section of our channel. Beyond that, I'm going to go ahead and end the stream. So thank you very much and have a wonderful day.